Good morning, everybody. My name is Pranav, a legal intern at Lexis and Company for the month of June. And today, I will be discussing about strikes and lockouts under the Industrial Disputes Act 1947. Strike is a collective stoppage of work by workmen in order to bring pressure upon those who depend on the sale or use of products of work. Lockout is a weapon in the hands of the employer similar to that of strike in the armory of workmen, used for compelling persons employed by him to accept his terms and conditions or affecting employment. Section 22 talks about the prohibition of strikes and lockouts. Section 22 of the Act deals with the prohibition of strikes and lockouts. This section applies to strikes and lockouts in industries carrying on public utility services. Conditions laid down in Section 22, subsection 1 are to be fulfilled in the case of strike in any public utility service, and conditions laid down in Section 22, subsection 2 are to be fulfilled in case of any lockout by the employer carrying on any public utility service. Section 22, subsection 1 provides that no person employed in public utility service shall go on strike in breach of contract without giving to the employer notice of strike within 6 weeks before striking, or within 14 days of giving such notice, or before the expiry of the date of strike specified in any such notice as aforesaid, or during the pendency of any conciliation proceedings before a conciliation officer, and 7 days after the conclusion of such proceedings. Section 22, subsection 2 lays down that no employer carrying on any public utility service shall lock out any of his workmen, provided that without giving them notice of lockout as in hereinafter provided within its 6 weeks before locking out, or within 14 days of giving such notice, or before the expiry of the date of lockout as specified in any such notice, or during the pendency of any conciliation proceedings before a conciliation officer, and 7 days after the commencement of such proceedings. Section 22, subsection 3 provides that the notice of strike or lockout as provided in subsections 1 and 2 may be in certain cases be dispensed with. No notice of strike shall be necessary where there is already in existence a lockout in the public utility service concerned, or no notice of lockout shall be necessary where there is already in existence a strike in a public utility service concerned. The employer shall send intimation of a strike or lockout on the day on which it is declared to the specified authority. Section 22, subsection 4 says that the notice of strike shall be given by such number of persons to such person or persons in such manner as may be prescribed. Section 22, subsection 5 provides that the notice of lockout shall be given in such manner as may be prescribed. Section 22, subsection 6 deals with the intimation of notices given under subsection 1 and 2 to specified authorities. Prohibition of strikes. Where a strike has commenced during the pendency of conciliation proceedings and the workman pleaded that the strike was provoked by the employer, it was held that the fact that the strike or lockout was provoked by the opposite party will not absolve the person going on strike or declaring lockout of the duty of complying with the requirements of Section 22 and 23 of the Act. The words "no person" appearing in the subsection refer to workmen because no one other than a workman is likely to go on a strike in an industry. It must be further proved that the workmen were employed in an industry industry which was a public utility service within the definition of Section 2M of the Act. The expression "in breach of contract" means that breach of contract to go on strike, and even if such contract exists, it cannot form a part of valid contract of service. Contract of employment implies to work against the rules of contract in which workman is employed. Breach of provisions of Section 22 and 23 attracts penal liability under Section 26 of the Act. Therefore, in order to hold a person liable, two things must be proved by the prosecution. Firstly, that the strike took place in a concern which was a public utility service within the meaning of Section 2N of the Act, and secondly, that the strike was in breach of contract of service of the striking workman. Nextly, moving on to the notice of strike. In Mineral Miners Union versus Kudremukh Iron Ore Company and Limited, it was held that the provisions of Section 22 are mandatory and the date on which the workmen are proposed to go on strike should be specified in the notice. If meanwhile the date specified in the notice expires, workmen have to give a fresh notice and all other statutory consequences flowing out of the said notice would follow. Whenever notice under Section 22 is issued, even though such notice is necessitated by the failure of conciliation proceedings, provisions such as Section 20, subsection 1 and 12, subsection 1 read along with Section 22 in its entirety will be attracted. Meaning of the term within 6 weeks before striking and within 14 days of giving such notice. Taking two provisions together, it means that a person employed in a public utility service may go on a strike on giving the employer a notice of strike, provided that the strike takes place within 6 weeks of giving the notice and 14 days after the notice has expired. Thus, strike can take place only when 14 days have passed but before 6 weeks have expired against giving such notice. Moving on to Section 23. Section 23 talks about the general prohibition of strikes and lockouts. The prohibition against strikes and lockouts contained in Section 23 are general in nature. It applies to both public utility as well as non-public utility establishments. A strike in breach of a contract by workman and lockout by employer is prohibited in the following cases. Firstly, during the pendency of conciliation proceedings before a board and 7 days after the conclusion of such proceedings, or during the pendency of proceedings before a labor court, tribunal, or national tribunal, and 2 months after the conclusion of such proceedings, or during the pendency of arbitration proceedings before an arbitrator, and 2 months after the conclusion of such proceedings where a notification has been issued under Section 3A of Section 10A, or during any period in which settlement or award is in operation in respect of the matters covered by such settlement or award. Now comparing Sections 22 and 23. Section 22 applies only to public utility services. Section 23 is applicable to both public utility as well as non-public utility concerns. Section 23 does not prohibit strike or lockout during pendency of conciliation proceedings before a court or conciliation officer. Section 22 does so. Under Section 22, notice of strike or lockout is necessary. Under Section 23, no such notice is required. Both Sections 22 and 23 are applicable to public utility services, but Section 23 applies to non-public utility services as well. Section 24. Illegal strikes and lockout. According to Section 24, subsection 1, a strike or lockout shall be illegal if it is commenced or declared in contravention of Section 22 in a public utility service, or commenced in contravention of Section 23 in any industrial establishment, including private or public utility services, or it is continued in contravention of an order made by the appropriate government under Section 10 subsection 3 or subsection 4A of Section 10A of the Act. Punishment for illegal strikes. The workers have a right, if not a fundamental right, to go on strike. If the strike is illegal, the party guilty of the illegality is punished under Section 26 of the Act. The effect of illegal strike is on the demand of the workmen and their liability to punishment. According to one view, it is based on the strike being justified. Mere illegality of the strike does not end the matter. It means that if the strike is illegal and at the same time unjustified, workmen have no claim to wages. According to Section 26, workmen participating in any illegal strikes shall be punished with imprisonment for 1 month or with a maximum fine of Rs 1,000 or with both. Section 26 subsection 2 provides that an employer shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 month or with a maximum fine of Rs 50 or with both. And with this, I come to the end of today's topic. Thank you.